I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like,
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. We don't really have to rush this because the first game isn't until Thursday, so we got a little bit of time, but we're recording. And I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the Kraken Whisperer.
They must not have heard me because they did end up losing. I did have them going to that round, but I'm feeling good about my Dallas pick thus far.
Yes, and we didn't do so well in predicting the East Conference Finals, but we did at least. I have the two guys in the Western Conference Finals, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Stars, but you also have the Stars.
Yes, and if the Stars end up winning, which I have happening, that'll be very beneficial to my predictions.
And I would be happy with that. I have Vegas winning, but it's just in. I think it's going to be a really good series. But before we get to that, let's get to the second round. We're going to be reviewing the second round. Then we'll talk about the conference finals, which I think is going to be great. But overall, let's get to probably the least competitive Stanley Cup second round out of the ones. I would assume it's the Hurricanes versus Devils, where Carolina 1-5.
I wouldn't say that's the least. I mean, it could be considered. I mean, the other series was also decided in 5, so
That's true. Yeah.
And I would argue that this one it could be less competitive because there was a lot of games that weren't close. But the last game was, and the Devils obviously just weren't ready for this type of competition. They did win their first round series after struggling in their first 2 games, but they didn't get the goaltending that they got in the first round, which was almost impossible to replicate.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with Carolina, and I didn't watch them because when I did, it was just destroying it. But yeah, the Devils, this is really good. They're really young. A lot of people, I didn't expect them to be here, so they'll just learn about it. Yeah, and I did forget about the Maple Leaf Panthers. I thought the Panthers were going to sweep them, but the Maple Leafs were able to get a win, but the Panthers still won, which is incredible. Just an incredible story. So this could happen next year, Austin, because they were the President's Trophy winners last year.
That's true. We'll have to wait and see if that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, but really impressed with the Panthers. And now, what do the Maple Leafs do?
That's an off-season conversation, but it's a good one to have eventually. They're just a team that is struggling to find their footing as a winner. They finally won a round, but then they lose to an 8 seed basically in 5. And we see an 8 seed in the East making it to the final, or the Eastern Conference Final, in both the NHL and the NBA.
Yes. However, I think this 8 seed has a better showing of just the type of competition they beat. Actually,
I don't know.
they're kind of similar. Knicks are probably similar to the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, Bucks similar to the Bruins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, actually, it's good now that I think about it more. But yeah, so we'll get those out of the way. I'm excited for Hurricanes, Panthers. I don't know. I think it was just a lot of people, probably old school hockey people, complaining about it not being the original 6.
I'm okay with it not being. I'm just not okay with how lack of a fight that the Maple Leafs have shown, and it did not seem like they really wanted it.
Yeah, and that's why I've just brought up the question, what happens, because this has been the story of the Maple Leafs for a while, especially this team that has Austin Matthews, Tavares, they loaded up this year and they only won one game in the second round. They did advance for the first time in a while, but it's just difficult. So we'll have to see what they do.
Yes, we will have to see.
But good job on the Panthers, who did make a big trade, and it didn't really pay off in the regular season, but now it looks like the team's starting to come together, and this is probably what they expected when they made that trade.
Definitely.
So now we go to the West. Oilers versus Golden Knights. There were some lopsided wins, but Vegas, the Oilers seemed to be incredible on the power play, but Vegas was just able to pull it out.
Yeah, the Oilers really struggled on 5-on-5, and that really doomed them throughout this series. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to make some changes just like the Maple Leafs, because when you have Draisaitl and McDavid, your expectations are definitely to get past the second round.
But one thing I think is good for them is Skinner is a rookie. And I think, what did you think of his performance?
He really struggled. He was eaten alive by a Vegas team that was obviously better. Aiden Hill, the goaltender that came in because of Brossois getting hurt, has played amazing, and I think he'll be a major X factor in the next series.
Yeah. So, okay, I was curious on Skinner because Edmonton spent a lot of money to get a goaltender this offseason, correct?
Yes, but that was not Skinner. That was Jack Campbell. And Jack
Yeah, that
Campbell
was Jack
outplayed Skinner the entire playoffs, but they never wanted to go away from Skinner because maybe he was an all-star for them, so maybe they just avoided that drama there. But I don't really know because how it all worked out is that they couldn't go away from a goaltender that was obviously struggling and costing them a series.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it could mean something like they figured it out, but no, it still seems like a question. But I know they made the trade for Ekblad, so maybe they can work something out with Ekblad if he's a free agent. Because that's the big thing that sticks out to me with Edmonton is their defense and probably
They picked up a lot of defensemen, whether it be Bouchard or Darnell Nurse. They obviously traded for Ekholm mid-year, so
okay, that's who it was. Ekholm, not Ekblad.
yeah. We'll see if they make some more changes.
Yeah, and it makes sense that they didn't do well in the conference finals last year, and then they couldn't make it. But this series, what a great job from the Kraken. They were just so incredibly fast. You and I went to Game 5. It was great. We'll get to the Stars in a little bit, but I think there's a bright future. I was talking about this with one of our friends. I think they just missed that. They don't have that dominant go-to scorer that Dallas, I think, has.
Yeah, I don't. We've seen teams before in all sports not need a dominant player. The 2004 Pistons come to mind. Yes, was Benoit's dominant on defense, but you don't have that all-encompassing superstar that you need. I think the Kraken really lacked because goaltending was an issue for them. Grubauer struggled during the series. He played well in Game 7, but the offense didn't come through. And when you finally get a game from your goaltender, it is unlucky that the Kraken could get anything going. And the Stars probably should have scored more considering how many shot attempts and how many good chances they had.
Yeah, but I think Kraken just really willed themselves. Yeah, and I know we've seen it in sports, but I think in the NHL you need that designated goal scorer. Or am I wrong?
You don't necessarily need a designated goal scorer if you're going to be a more defensive team. It just every team has a different story about them and how they're going to try to win games. And the Kraken are a team that relies on a team performance, and it didn't come to pass.
Okay. But yeah, I think Beniers could help solve that goal scorer issue as he develops.
Yeah, I think that's the entire intention when picking him.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are other picks. You have Cartier, who played well, and he's a rookie. And everyone else played well. It's just what does the future look like? And I feel it looks pretty bright for the Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, they're a young team with a lot of potential.
Yeah, so and then you have the Stars where The only issue is Robertson has not scored a goal yet.
There's other issues. Ottinger struggled the majority of the games in that series. He really only had 2 games, maybe 3, where he was a true Ottinger self, but he got pulled in 2 and didn't look great in the other games besides the games they won. So against Vegas, a team that is much better than the Kraken, Ottinger has to come to play. He needs to play like he did in Game 7, and maybe the Stars need to take a more defensive approach like they did last year. But the Stars are a great offensive team, and we've seen that by the goal contributions and point contributions by Rope Hintz and that top line with Pavelski and Robertson.
Yeah, and that's something we saw got put back together in the middle. But back to Ottinger. Yeah, he did struggle, but I was really impressed with just how he responded to
There's not
those
going to be a
bad
Game
losses.
7 to respond in, though, if you lose games. That's the
No,
problem.
but I'm talking about there's a consistent record this year with Ottinger and losses. He's 24 and 1-2, I'm pretty sure, after losses.
Vegas is a better team, though. And the
Yeah.
problem is he's responding after losses. But if you lose the first game and then respond and lose it, you can lose a series in 7-4-3. You can't always just respond after a loss because it could doom you in the end.
That's true, but I'm just saying how he responded well in the Kraken series, but he can't do that. He probably can't do that again in Vegas. We'll see if he does it again, and how that impacts the series.
He can't afford it. He can't afford to be what he's been the majority of the postseason, except for a few highlights.
Hopefully he can get more, but Andre's been incredible. The defense has just been tough when Miro isn't on the ice, but the Stars are trying everything to have Miro on the ice as much as he can.
There's holes on both of these teams moving on to the Western Conference Final. The Stars, Esa Liddell, Yanni Hakanpää have really struggled. That third line with Harley and Hanley and Miller filling in for Hakanpää because Hakanpää's played so poorly has been fine. Miro is a high point for the team. Like I mentioned before, Ottinger struggled, but partially is that because the defense has struggled. And then when you go to the front lines, yes, Sagan has 5 goals these playoffs. 4 of them will come on the power play, though, and all but 1 have happened in that first round. So does he need to be with those top guys to even have a chance of scoring? He missed a lot of clear chances. If the Stars win this series, it's going to be because Ottinger returns to his regular season self, not what he's been this postseason on average. And the top line, the top 2 lines really, the Ben line and the Pavelski line really come to pass.
Yeah, to me, Robertson has to get a goal. And to me, he was so close.
I'm okay with him not scoring if he's going to be a premier playmaker because I believe that Rope, Hintz, and Pavelski can stimulate the goals that you need. But Robertson can't be a bystander on this run, and he has to be someone that can contribute in other areas if he just doesn't have that goal-scoring touch. Now, if he can get it, the line is impossible to guard because everyone is a premier goal scorer come playoff time. Hintz has shown it, Pavelski has shown it, and we're just waiting on Robertson.
Yeah, and it's been a luxury with everything else that the Stars haven't needed Robertson to step up, but now this is the time where he has to step up. But Wyatt Johnson's been incredible. That Ben line, Dodonov was incredible in Game 7. So,
yeah, I think we can move on to predictions. Let's start with the East quickly. The Panthers are less hurt, even though Teravainen for the Hurricanes may return. But I think I'm going to go Hurricanes here. I don't know if Florida can keep up with what the Hurricanes have been cooking these playoffs.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm going to go Panthers. I don't think we've heard much from Tkachuk, and I'm really impressed with this Panthers run, and I think they're going to be able to get to it and win this Eastern Conference Finals. But it's probably Game 7, and it's probably incredible. Hopefully, they're close games.
Yeah. I'd probably go Hurricanes in 6 is my prediction. But back on to the West, the final that you predicted. Are you sticking to your roots?
Of course. I'm sticking with my roots. Hasn't hurt me this much.
Do you remember how many games you had it in?
I believe I had 7. because I went against the DeBauer Game 7 record.
Yeah, Peter DeBoer has a now 7-0 record in Game 7,
Yeah, it's
which is
7-0.
extremely
I
impressive
believe it's the most
to start a
with
career.
Yeah,
Or
to start a
the
career.
most, and he also has made the Western Conference or Eastern Conference final in his first year with every team: New
Yes.
Jersey, San Jose, Vegas, and now Dallas. And he's the first person to do that with 4 different teams. We'll just see if he can move on to the final, which he did do with New Jersey and San Jose, even though he lost with New Jersey and lost with San Jose during those runs. So we'll see if that changes. And I believe they do get to the final. I'm sticking with Dallas. It's really I believe it's the only way I can win this prediction is if Dallas goes. I think if Vegas makes it, you win. If Dallas makes it, I win. And because I want to win, I'm going to go with Dallas. I'm going to go Dallas in 6. I believe they get it done at home, and we see Pavelski move on to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, and Pavelski does have a chance to beat or to go past Ovechkin with his next goal, which I'm sure he will have.
I would be utterly shocked if that does not happen this next series, considering he just scored 8 in the last round alone.
Yeah, and I think Sagan might break out. Sagan was making some incredible moves. It's just he could not get the puck in the net. Like that toe drag one where Grubauer saved it. I was like, dang, man, that's
he
shot.
also had a couple of chances where you just missed the net. And Sagan had a really good quote last night. He said, I don't know what they're eating in the Pavelski household right now, but it's working, which I found really funny because Wyatt Johnston, in the 4 games, Pavelski had 3 game-winning goals, and Johnston had the other. So all of them were Pavelski household game-winning goals.
Oh, yeah. And do you know the guy that has the last series clinching goals? Series clinching is probably in quotation marks. But the last goals in each series.
It would have to be Johnston, considering he just had the last one. So
it's Johnson. The last one, I believe, against the Wild when he was 19, and then 20 against the Kraken, which it's just incredible. And it's you've said this is a very the Stars do need to capture this moment, and make sure to check out our video where we talk about biggest stuff on the line, or what is it? Who has the most to lose? That's the video, NHL. Check it out on our YouTube podcast. So this just enhances it, because when are you going to have the other 2 lines? I think you could argue which one is a second line. Is the second line.
No, it's definitely not even a question for me, because Domi has not put up the production without Pavelski there. So I believe it's really the second line is the Ben line, who Ben's had a lot of opportunities. Dadonov has played well, and then obviously Johnston had a big goal last night. So,
but it's just that depth is incredible. But the defense scares me. But we'll see. Miro has been incredible with just how much ice time he's leading. And Rupe Hintz, I believe, he's not the leader, but he's the leader of everyone left, I believe.
Yes, he's second right now on playoff points behind McDavid. McDavid had 20. Rupe has 19. And right now for the Stars, I believe there's only 2 true contenders for the Conn Smythe, and that's Pavelski and Hintz. Hintz because of his points, and Pavelski because he's played 8 games and has 8 goals. So
I would absolutely agree. Pavelski's been amazing, and Rupe's been amazing. We'll just have to see what else happens. And didn't mean to be a little bit too Stars heavy, but they're not getting enough coverage in the state media.
Well, I mean, Mark Messier said that the winner of the Vegas Oilers series would have a breeze, basically. So we'll see if that works out. But
yeah, we'll see. That's all we got. Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our Twitter and our Instagram. That's all we got. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.